and North Carolina.
Hey, green flag's out. Welcome. Better late than never, right? Live on Done Right on the Facebook page and YouTube page. Rob Hinckley along with Bibster. We're ready for Go Fast again here on a Monday night, and boy, lots to talk about. We have a great special guest. You can see her already, Chrissy Oliver. Woo, in the house. I don't think I've seen Chrissy since long time, back in the early 80s. So we're going to talk with Chrissy Oliver here in a bit. We'll get done what we normally do here on Done Right TV. We'll give you a review of Team Done Right over the weekend, the Roberts Motorsports cars. Friday night, they went up to Fountain City, Wisconsin. 25 good late models on hand, $5,000 to win show. Both of them made the feature without a problem. They got to the feature, rained out. So maybe they'll go back this Friday. That's when they're supposed to run the $5,000 to win makeup. So Saturday they tried the Fairbury American Legion Speedway. Both Jeremiah Hurst, Garrett Albertson caught up in the same wreck in the feature. They were DNFs, and so they went back to Roberts Motorsports. They'll get the cars ready for this weekend. And also, Team Done Right, get out the brooms for Tyler Soppe.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sweeporama wins at Davenport. And he would have won by a bigger margin if that last yellow hadn't come out at Davenport. He was up by a straightaway. Mm-hmm. So Tyler Soppe wins at Davenport Friday. Makoka to Saturday. Finishes off the weekend sweep with the feature win at Dubuque last night. So congratulations, Tyler. I know you've been waiting a long time. You got the new car hopping this past weekend. So
and I think he didn't have to hit a wall, because we were talking with him at the Gary Reinhardt Memorial, and he was saying how last year his car, he wrecked it right at the beginning of the season, and then it was just on a rail. So he's going, I kind of got this idea. And I'm going, Tyler, I don't know if it's going to work twice like that.
He actually did that, sort of. He finally decided he had too much brake in the car, and so he cut one of the brake lines or something along that line to make it turn better. But anyway, hey, congratulations, Tyler Soppe. I know you've been waiting for a weekend like that all year long. So that takes care of Team Done Right. As far as us, we were all over the place as always, so we'll talk about that here in a bit. Time to go around the track and around the room. Takeaways on the racing weekend, Bibster.
Oh, well, I'm not going to lead to our driver of the week, 'cause I'm pretty sure I know yours. But what it just
actually a four. But.
Yes, but it was a fun weekend. I was like, it was an Oreo sandwich that the filling was a tractor pull for me, which you guys all know is my bread and butter. It was funny. I showed up and there's actually a garden tractor pull going on. I literally was like, wait a minute. I think I should have known this was going on. That's day job, Bibster there. And so that was a lot of fun. We worked at ECI, and we have some stuff, in the works with them. It's been a lot of fun working with them. Seeing they have I still haven't seen all the classes they have. I still haven't seen their semi pulls, and I still haven't seen a few of their other ones. But it was a good variety. I think we had about 60 hooks on Saturday, so that was a lot of fun. And then finished things out at East Moline, and we got 9 features done before 10 o'clock, and that was nuts. So. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch the replay of the East Moline yet, it's up. I know it's up because I was watching some of it on the way home last night, and definitely you should have the on-demand deal just for that race, because there was some good racing last night at East Moline.
There was, and it started out with they ran the makeup features and then went through that. For us, we had the Ronnie Whedon Memorial also on Friday over at Davenport, so that was great. 30 modifieds on hand for that one. And a great show it was, and that's one of my drivers of the week. So we won't get into who won and that kind of thing, but another takeaway. Got to run into Chrissy Oliver, so and invite her on the show. So we're going to get her on here in a minute. And then, and last night again, Peterson's great job at East Moline, and there was dust, but it was a good smooth track. Mm-hmm. Dust blew off later on in the feature, and they rock and rolled and got it through. Mm-hmm. So congratulations to the Petersons, and we were talking with Mrs. Bibster before. Did we have a full moon last night? And I don't think we did, but it sure seemed like it.
It sure did seem like it near the end. The later we got, the more it seemed like there was a full moon somewhere hiding there. And yeah, definitely. I felt like Mrs. Bibster was her first day back at real school today, so she also feels that it might have been a full moon.
I do empathize with teachers, that's for sure. They have to go back. Techno Talk, our technology that we do on all this, and one of the things that we've been really really looking at and that kind of thing is picking up all the action. And so when people, they text you or text me or message and say, hey, did you get the modified feature? And so well, go for it. We got video on demand. Don't worry.
And I mean, and that's the hard part because we are one. It's even when we have multiple cameras, it's hard to see everything that's happening all the time. So a lot of times, if you watch one of our camera operators, you'll actually see them. They'll be following their cars and kind of have it on this side, but then watching the field or watching. I love having the crowd back because before we had the crowd, we didn't have that many. I didn't call them spotters because you see the crowd, and a lot of times, and I'll be filming a race and I'll see them all point over there and look. I can't always go right to it, but at least gives you an idea of something. Sometimes it's nothing. They're like, I don't even know what they were pointing at over there, but yeah, so that's what's funny because people ask like, did you get that? And a lot of times it's, did you get that wreck? Did you see who hit me? And I'm like, I am not involved in this. You can get the video on demand deal and make your own conclusions.
That's right. $14.99 a month, and you can see everything that we've done. So that the video on demand is a good deal. Hey, drivers of the week. Any thoughts?
Oh well, I know I had a pretty good guess on yours, so mine's gonna be Tyler Soppy going with the sweep. As part of Team Done Right, it was fun to watch. To see him at Davenport, and like I said, I know his season has been. He's had a good season, just not been as successful as what he was able to see last year, and so you kind of see some of that frustration. So to go through and just get a sweep on the weekend, and perfect timing with Super Nationals coming up in a couple weeks to kind of get that. This is the perfect time. Talk about it in other sports where you want to be on the peak at the right time, and 2 weeks out from Super Nationals is the perfect time to be just firing on all cylinders, having your setups dead on, and being able to go to 3 different tracks and pick up a win.
Definitely. And me, I had Soppy listed, and, kind of my background ones, Andy Nazworski had 2 feature wins last night, East Moline, one in the modified and then one in the late model, and then Spencer Dirks for winning the Ronnie Weed Memorial at Davenport. But, yeah, my driver of the week, Gary Webb.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome. I mean, just being able to be behind the camera for that was so much fun to watch because I was kind of going, man, he's he's out there. What I mean? And I've seen other times where it's out there and then the guys start to catch him. No one was they weren't catching him, and I'm like, Gary's gone. Like, it was just like, all right. And we almost had Ross win the other feature. And I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh.
That would have been a great night.
Yeah.
And it was anyway, Andy winning the late model, but Gary Webb, 71 years young, 49th year of racing, picks up feature win number 520 last night at East Moline, the makeup feature, and I was glad that it went green to checker.
Yeah.
Because he really showed how he could still pedal that car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was nice that because he didn't have to worry about losing that lead. A lot of times you guys when they'll half a lap out, and then all of a sudden a yellow comes out, and all of a sudden you got some guys in your back bumper that are breathing right down you. So for Gary to get out there and really hold his own against a lot of, and again, we always talk about the late model depth in this area. There's not many. You can't really shake a stick at many late model drivers around here. Most of them. We have obviously national champions have come out of this area for the last few years, with the current national champion from Davenport. So just to be able to go up against that kind of competition is awesome.
It sure is, and we'll catch up on some of the people that are tuning in. Nick Jensen, thanks for the photos, by the way, of Gary Webb. I swiped one and put it on my Facebook page today. And, Brett Severson agrees, has to be Gary Webb. And Jenny Smith says hi, Chrissy.
Hey, Jenny.
And, of course, Jenny, part of the Peterson family. And let's see, get those, and yeah. Here, Jenny Nestaby asking, where is this at? We are in Davenport, Jenny. We do this every Monday. Well, almost every Monday.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, we're looking forward to it. Gary Jackson joining. Hi, Gary. Glad to see you. And we're going to bring on our special guest. And we ran into her at Davenport Speedway on Friday night. It was such a pleasure to see you again. I think our only contact back in the 80s was I was an announcer and you were a driver. But, of course, we knew all about your family and that kind of thing. And Chrissy Oliver. Chrissy, great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob. I was just so excited that you said 111, Chrissy Oliver. I haven't heard that for like 30 years.
Absolutely.
And I had to think, what number was I?
So what was it like walking around Davenport Speedway on Friday night for you?
Actually, I was scared because I didn't know anybody. And I had to walk around. I'm like, where's all the people that I knew? You know, because I was only like 15, 16 years old when I was racing against the guys. And now they're all, you know, retired or helping. And I have been out of racing so long.
Sure.
So you broke that icebreaker and then it's like riding a bike. You never forget.
Absolutely.
Never forget.
Well, that one little corner there by the beer stand at Davenport Speedway, anybody you want to make contact with from the past, they're usually there.
I seen that.
That's very true.
You know what? I've yapped enough about this. Take us to the beginning. You know, many out there, you know, may not know about Tri-City Buggy, your family's influence on the sport, but we want to talk about you. How did you actually end up behind the wheel of a race car?
Wow, that's amazing because some of these veteran drivers are passed away. Yeah. And my dad, you know, I went with, like most of our kids, we went to the races every weekend. And I said, I want to drive one of them cars. And he says, if you can find a guy to let him drive your car, I'll sponsor you. And if anyone remembers Ken DeLaporte.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And he was the first man. And Tam, if you're watching, I appreciate your little support too. And he actually did let me, and my father was like really, really shocked. But actually, I learned the gas pedal. I didn't know about carburetors like 2 barrels and 4 barrels and stuff. But I said the gas pedal's longer, and that was because it was a 4-barrel carburetor. Mm-hmm. So the first things I learned was the A-frames. You know, I had no idea about cars whatsoever.
I don't think I still do, but A-frames, I think I know where those are at. But
yeah. But I had to learn how to stop the car before I could even get in it.
Oh, I can imagine. So what's that like?
If the brakes go out, you're pushing them through the floorboard. They had put pedals, wood blocks on my pedals. Because I was 4'11" at the time. So,
I'll be darned.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, even my 51-year-old self, and I'm proud to say that I lived through everything I've been through. But to have an opportunity to race a vehicle like that, and actually that I was 11 years old when I started, and we lied and told him we was 12 and 13, and because it was private property, it's like driving a tractor on a farm or something. So.
Sure. And I didn't give you the heads up on this, but you almost have to eat the mic.
Hear me?
Yeah, just for a little more volume. What was the significance behind Yellow Jacket on your cars?
Actually, my dad had this go-kart right when we were where the Augustana College is now. We had a track out there, and there was a hornet's nest, and being the kid I run over it. It was Yellow Jacket's nest, and they don't lose their stinger. They lose their stinger, but they can still
they come back.
Yeah. So there was snakes and everything down there, but I really had a like I was telling you about the carburetor. I had a feel for it. I don't know. I did it for mainly my dad's love, and it was never about the fame and fortune. But it's hard to keep a race car up with no money.
Oh, so, no doubt about it.
Sponsors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get into some other things, but what was your favorite track that you raced on?
Here.
Or anywhere?
Well, I'd have to say when I got here, it was Bluegrass, Iowa. I think it was Hawkeye Speedway.
Yep.
And I got the Rookie of the Year. I can remember my whole arms going numb as I won that heat race. It was just a heat race, but it was phenomenal because I was only 12.
Sure.
And there's like 4 or 6 cars in there, but that then Newport Raceway in Tennessee, it's like a small Bristol. Mm-hmm. It was dirt also. See, later in my career, I went to asphalt. Mm-hmm. And the first asphalt drive, I kicked it sideways like I was on dirt.
We see a lot of dirt drivers do that.
And then the white smoke, and it's just like I was going nowhere. And then the Bowman Gray Stadium in Virginia, they did it's a track and field, so it's real small, and they had like 20 cars. Tell me about it.
No, I've seen videos on that of when NASCAR used to go out there and race. Like, it was like a football field in the middle, and then there's a track on the outside.
Right.
And, yeah, obviously I haven't done anything.
Well, I saw the show, what was it, Discovery Channel or something, did a show, a whole series on a season at Bowman Gray, also with the modifieds.
Oh my gosh,
How crazy
but the
that
fans,
is.
you know, they put me in the rear on purpose just to watch me. I was paid to show up. It didn't matter where I finished. I got the same amount of money. And I hate to say that as a crowd drawer, but and maybe you can hear my southern accent just a little bit.
That's all right. We like that.
Drawer, pillar. No, but it was so neat because the fans actually did the wave for me. And I went to the back like 4 times, and we got fined. It's a football field in the middle, and then it was track and field that we were actually running on, right? Well, you can't stay out of the middle, and you get $500 fine.
For going on the football field?
Right, because everybody would try to pass, you know. And,
Yeah.
I mean, you imagine 20 cars on a little track and field.
Yeah.
It's just, and late models, not little mini stocks.
Yeah.
But
No,
it
I
was
can't.
an awesome track. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fans. I have a few photos here where I'm signing autographs for 4 and 5 hours after the race.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
So what was that rise to popularity like for you as a youngster?
Well, they always said your head's going to get too big. It won't fit in the helmet. And I never understood that until I got about 20. And it just got way out of control. I didn't appreciate anything. I hate to talk bad about it, but I did not appreciate anything, either other men's equipment like I would today. You know, we worked 16 hours sometimes, and I know I wasn't the only one. And to fix these cars, and we go out there and tear them up in 5 seconds.
That can happen, no doubt about it. Well, I know it wasn't always easy for you, whether it's racing or moving on after that. And this is by your comfort level totally. Just take us through some of those times. You and I have already talked about some of them and that kind of thing. And what kind of things did you have to go through, and what kind of message do you want to get out?
Wow. I would not suggest this for any young lady growing up. And it was beautiful at first. And I had no, my mother and father would just, anything I wanted was at my fingertips. And that's so dangerous because it gets away from compassion and love and in the true greed of the sport, and how I didn't think racing was that violent of a sport. It's probably as violent, if not more violent, than football. Mm-hmm. So, and like I said, growing up at the racetrack, I don't think anyone would recognize the dangers of men groping a 12-year-old girl. It happens everywhere. I'm not saying I'm unique, but actually, I was emancipated at 13 because I didn't have a driver's license to race some of the NASCAR shows. You had to be 16. Mm-hmm. So when I got emancipated at 13, I was responsible for my own actions, and that gave me access to the NDRA Stroh's Dirt at Rossburg, Ohio, the World 100. Wayne Shipley, Mike Hadley, hats off to you. I don't know how you put up with me. There goes my pit crew. I mean, that main thing, I can't even say enough that my pit crew actually did more for me than I think anybody did in the world, because they actually listened to me, and they were actually my friends. It was more than just because we were at the end there, we were missing $10,000 cars, or engines. Just unreal. 2 and 3 engines, 2 and 3 cars.
Wow.
And I got to meet Dale Earnhardt. That was my all-time favorite when he actually, died in racing. Died doing what he loved best, but I just basically never watched anymore. Racing today it seems like, my last race was at Charlotte Motor Speedway in 1993. And, the Busch Grand National, man, I was going to run the car, and I had to sleep with someone. So I told him, call me when you're ready to go racing, and I never set foot in a race car again. So, but I'm happy because I had 2 children after that, Tiffany and Trevor. I love you so much. And my parents died in 14 and 15. Oh my gosh, See, it wasn't fun at the end. It wasn't fun at the end. We lost the whole business when my dad passed away, and I started living in the street. And, welding didn't do me a lot of good. And I graduated high school. That was one of the good things through it. But about the time I started racing, though, I started drinking and smoking, the legal marijuana today. So that became a problem very quickly, but I didn't realize that because I was so famous and rich, like Michael Jackson and all that, but sooner or later, even Jim Carrey, I think you guys hear him share, it's not what, it's a character we put on. And when we have to put that character away, or even people that will contact me today will say, we want that old Chrissy back. Well, Chrissy is not 20 years old. I'm not that person no more. But I am in recovery from drug addiction, and extremely satisfied with my life. And hats off to my Gary Jackson, because he's my crew chief, and he's still crew chief in me.
Right. I ran into you guys. In fact, I saw one of your posts after we announced all this and all. 1986 Speed Weeks down in Daytona. And I saw some of the stories that you were telling on that trip, but that was the year that I started announcing at Bluegrass.
Okay.
And so I was down there. I was at Volusia County when you were racing, and I actually went up to the announcer and I said, "Oh, hey, I announced at Chrissy Alford as a home track," and they said that over the PA system, and talked about and talked about Volusia County when it was. Wow. 1991 Daytona Speed Weeks at Volusia County. Now, but was that when it was paved?
No.
Is that dirt, really? Wow.
Is that when you?
No, I was 1986.
Okay.
You guys were not. In fact, I just saw the picture, I think, on your Facebook page, and you got the hauler and everything down on the beach with the gulls flying around and all that kind of stuff. But when you go down to a Daytona so in 1986, you would have been...
I just graduated high school. 17 years old. 17
in 1986. And so you guys, you have guys like Billy Moyer, Jack Boggs, Bob Pierce, those kind of guys. What's it like? What was it like?
Oh, my gosh. Like I couldn't touch them. Like I wasn't nowhere near as good as them. And they're still racing today. Phenomenal.
Right.
So... But I was actually a competition. I have a picture of him here somewhere. Just can't find him.
Well, I remember you being competitive, but you talk about the other face. You have the face for during racing. What's it like behind the other face? What was it like behind the other face for you?
I didn't have another face. I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. I mean, like if I go to a restaurant or something, go out to eat, people would grab my clothes and literally want to take stuff home with them. Or I still even today get inbox messages of what, I just can't even talk about it. Wow.
That's all right.
I mean, I'm just surprised that I didn't know I had made it such an influence on people. And I didn't like the stardom and fame, but I liked my dad. I like the feel in the car. It was just like, it was like a part of me. And that was the only time I was free, was when I was driving the car.
I get that. So as you're driving the car, what I remember I drove for about 2 years, and all I did was the old bombers and all that. And I mean, if it was cold outside, my hands weren't cold when I was driving. I didn't even think about it or anything like that. Or if it was really hot, I didn't notice it till I stopped the car and got out. Is that normal? Is that kind of what you felt too? It was kind of your own little environment. I
remember on the dirt at Hawkeye, especially the dirt clods hitting my fingernails, and if you didn't fold the tear-offs just a certain way, you'd rip them all off, and you'd be with the mud like this. But I could remember the mud. I did catch on fire one day. It burnt my eyebrows, my eyelashes, and all my nose hair. I inhaled the alcohol. Fuel burns with a blue flame, so you didn't know it was on fire. But I run up under somebody's gas tank, and it poured all in my lap, and I remember the heat in my lungs, but I couldn't see anything. And that was probably one of my more scariest moments, that I couldn't see the flames burning. But as far as the numbness that I always got, like, I never understood if you could go 300 miles or 300 laps.
Yeah.
It's not 300 miles. I'm lying. But how was I going to go pee? And I found out real quick, you don't have to go pee. She's
Well, it's like, I mean, I haven't even been a kid. I think I had that realization. I was watching NASCAR, and I was like, wait a minute. They're in there for like 3 hours. How's this? Oh, okay.
Now, is this the one? Is that Larry Armstrong?
No, this is I don't know who this man is. This was 1979. It's when Gary Oliver promoted the Davenport Speedway. And it was when there was a mile track. That's why I was so shocked. Because I went out there and I'm like, what's this mound in the middle of the... Because I used to run that go-kart, like, I think we had like 3 or 5 laps or something. That's the one Ken Delaporte let me drive. And I just think how cocky I was. I hate to even say this about myself, but I had no fear. I mean, there is fear there. We don't treat people like that. I regret hurting people as far as, but it was the drive to racing. It was, but really, what do you win? And that's the Charlotte Motor Speedway car that Jeff Ninneman and his father Larry. And I went out, and I think I went 141 miles an hour. I was just so shocked because the Charlotte is like 2.5 miles, maybe.
Mile and a half.
Mile and a half. Okay,
Yep.
Mile and a half.
At least it is nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, when I was little, 11, 12 years old, this stuff looked huge compared to what it does today. That's
And that's Bloomquist.
Yeah.
Recognize him.
John Stories is the man on the right. They had teams of when I went to Australia. Hello, Brett Chadwick.
Oh, there we go.
They had-
Scott Bloomquist, Mike Klein, Charlie Schwartz, and like you said, John Soares.
Yeah. Oh, I put the names on the back.
Good for you. So that was the Australia picture then.
Yeah, they actually do go the other way. The Oscar is called not NASCAR, but Oscar. They go to the right because the head would
Be on the inside of the
Right,
car.
right.
Yeah, so that way.
Sure.
on the wall. But I'm saying they even
Drive the...
But when the American team went over there, they actually, you have to, the gear shifts over here. You sit in the right side of the car.
Crazy.
It was really,
It's
really
got to throw
hard.
you off. Like,
It was, because the brake and everything is
oh, yeah.
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 not the clutch, or to kick it sideways, or they have these bombers, we call them here back then, with the real thin street tires go out there and turn up the track, and then these big late models come out here and we'd have ruts and one going one way, one going the other way. It was really crazy. Gary and Lynn Oliver right there, Paul Farmer, Ronnie Evans. These are some people that I spent, we're talking years, day in, day out. And it's just all of a sudden the bottom fell out. I don't know what happened. But I wanted children, so I had 2 children in 97 and 99, so best thing I ever did in my life.
Excellent.
I can't see me, woman, like 71 years old in a car, you know. I don't think women are as stout, you know what I'm saying? I don't think they're, I just don't think. I mean, it's probably sounds funny coming from me.
No, I think it was. It doesn't sound funny, but we talk to drivers, whether male or female, and they all have a different perspective on it, which is kind of strange. We've talked to male and female drivers, and some guys say, "Oh yeah, I'm just perfectly comfortable behind the car." Other guys say, "I've been racing for 25 years. I still get butterflies when I get behind the wheel." So it's like,
That's another thing. I cannot find the picture of Ronnie Whedon. We cut a hole in the passenger side of a late model stock car. Or it's not late model stock. What was it? Late model back then.
Right.
Yeah.
But and he strapped himself in. We're talking going around the track with me at a good 80 miles an hour. Young, female, and he was a trooper. I mean, he'd tell me when to let off, when to get back on it, run high, run low. And he's actually, like, Ken Delaporte gave me my first breaking racing because Gary didn't think I could find somebody to let me drive their car. And then you know, the predecessors, I like to call them, Ronnie Whedon, Gary Webb, all that, they tolerated me, but I don't think they much liked me. But they always say, "Oh, she wrecked me. You might." Or my dad's favorite story was, "She hit me. You might as well too." And Gary did.
Oh.
Like in the face. Or they coming down out of the stands, and this girl would try to jump on me, and Dad just grab her tube top and it just go flying. Or it was just. And there was a Gaffney, South Carolina. That
Cherokee?
was yeah, there was a Mike Duval picture in there somewhere.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Yep. I visited Cherokee here about 5 years ago. I went because I was living in North Carolina for a while, and then Florida, and that was the only race I went to when I was in North Carolina was Cherokee. But so when you go from surface to surface, and you've probably been on every dirt, pavement, surface, and all that, what's that like as a driver?
Davenport Speedway, East Moline Speedway, that's where racing is meant to be in the dirt. I mean, if I wanted to fly an airplane or something, I guess I would, go aviation. But I mean, honestly, what's the sense in driving? But there was a lot of successful drivers, but there's something about, like, I went one time when I moved back here in June of 2018. I went one time to East Moline Speedway, and it was so, like, my heart was so, like, moved by it. I just couldn't even do it. It was like it was almost from, all I can say it was from my drug addiction. I did try to commit suicide. I actually did have 4 shots of Narcan, and I remember waking up, and the emergency room doctor was standing on my chest. Standing, and he looks down at me and he says, "If I pull these tubes out of your throat, are you going to breathe?" And I said, "Yeah." So he said, "We got her." And I didn't know how literally serious. And like I said, they gave me 4 shots of Narcan, the defibrillator where my breastbone, my body was so bruised. I never even knew that your flesh could come back to life and the pain that endured that. But it wasn't even really the drugs. It was like I purposely tried to take my life because I was not happy. I wasn't racing anymore. My parents had died. My kids had, and I just felt, how do you go from riches to being homeless and living on the streets and eating out of dumpsters? And that's when my life changed in 2017. And I stopped using the drugs. And then I got here in 2018. I lived with my best friend 46 years. And we were friends since I was 5 years old, and I've lived with her 3 or 4 times. I'd come here and live for a while and go back home. She says, "If you come up here this time, you will not go back." And I didn't. And I stayed. And I've been doing better here than, it's like everybody comes home. I went and chased this dream, and when it fell apart, I come back home. And the other near-death experience was just that racing that'll change your whole perspective on life. It'll show you a new appreciation for life and for everyone around you, because actually suicide, my dad actually committed suicide. I didn't know he was addicted to the Oxycontins. He had cancer before he told anybody. He was healed from it. So he survived all that and then decided to take his own life. It's just amazing what I got to do in my life because of the racing. So I don't want to complain, but the time I come back to life, it's just like I said, these people did not even know me, and they didn't have to save me. But I don't know. I think God had the best hand in that.
Well, he always has the best plan for us, whether we want it or not.
Yeah, because like I said, I've come up here, and being on the river, I think, is a lot better. I don't think I was ever meant to be in the South. This is my opinion, but it's barefoot and pregnant and in the kitchen, and they're not very liberal there. And I hate to say this real stuff, but it's not. Racing wasn't everything said it was going to be.
Well, I remember you, and this stuck with me, what you said Friday night. You said at one point, I didn't even know how to light a fire.
Yeah. I had to leave the homeless shelters because they were using drugs, and I was trying to get off the drugs, of course. And I had to go live in a tent. And I didn't even, my mom and dad had, I lived with them up till the time I was 33 and went into rehabilitation after I had my children. And I had planned on getting clean. I just didn't know it would take like seven or more years. You know, I didn't know how far down that path I went. But I had to literally, they say when you're chasing your recovery, you need to leave everything behind. And I literally did that to where some people didn't even want me in their homes because I was clean, and it messed up their way of lifestyle. So that was hard for me too. You know, you can't stay here because, you know, we're getting high. So
well, you could, but it wouldn't have been good for you.
This. Yeah. Man, I wished it could be more. There's so many more better stories. Like I said, this is Doug Hack, and who else? Larry Armstrong. Did you show that picture?
Yeah, I was looking for it because at first that's why I thought it was him. We'll have to find that. But yeah, we saw one with you standing next to Doug Hack.
See, this is the asphalt here.
Yeah.
This is me here, but it's one of them bigger ones. It may not be in there.
Well, I'll look through. Hey, but you know, just looking at all the posts here, just over the last 2 or 3 days, and that kind of thing. There are still people out there. You mentioned Wayne Shipley and Gary Jackson and what you know what role do they play in your life?
Wow, Gary Jackson is like, could you imagine raising or helping? My father hired him as a crew chief on this car, and the man's got great experience. And he said himself, and I don't think he'll be mad at me for saying this, but he said he could tell I wasn't being treated right, but I wasn't his kid. So he just did his job. And, you know, 32 years later, I show up, like, I finally get me a car. I'm living in my car, and I'm like, can I borrow some money till I get my check and so I can get a motel room? And Gary Jackson says, give me a call. And I've been staying at his house for almost 2 years now. So could you imagine 17 years old, this man helping me, and then 32 years not seeing him, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm stepped back into reality, and it's like that song, hey, look, Ma, I made it. You know what I mean? I live to tell about it. It's a great story, and I like the bib overalls. Yeah, that's good stuff. But it's not a me thing anymore. It's a we thing. And Wayne Shipley, oh, my gosh. Wayne, I know you're watching. I had the biggest crush on Wayne, and he's married, you know. And I was only, young, but like teens. I mean, and I would pinch him. You know how girls flirt? and my mom would ask, she'd say,
there's Larry Armstrong.
Yeah.
Found it.
That's amazing. And my mom would say, Wayne, why are you so bruised up? You know, he would never tell on me. But I found out later that he had just, I mean, like I said, a lot of people tolerated me, but I think a lot of people really loved me. And until I could grow up and learn a correct way to live. But I learned drinking. I learned bars. I learned tire irons in the pits. And it's okay to, you know, somebody put you in a wall. It's okay to go up and punch them. No, it's not okay. I mean, I ended up with assault with a deadly weapon charge, a felony charge. And assault record is worse. I didn't have any drug charges, so I wasn't a drug problem. I just had assault charges. I just had a problem stealing things. So,
So the assault thing, that wasn't a racing deal, was it?
racing in, it was just violent. I'm talking, they're getting ready to put me in prison for it. Well, I mean, Larry Armstrong, perfect example. I didn't even know until you told me that whole story.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We get people chiming in. CJ Cross says, I want to thank Gary Jackson for doing everything he has done for Chrissy. He is truly the meaning of a crew chief for life.
Oh, my God.
And Gary says, thank you, CJ, on that. So that
All kinds of things.
that's great. And we are as well. But, take us to the point where you're leaving the Quad Cities and going to North Carolina. What's going through your mind at that age, and what were your hopes and dreams at that time?
Well, yeah, we was going to the heart of racing. I mean, shoot, we used to drive. That's what was it? Paducah. What was the World 100? What?
Eldora.
Mossburg, Ohio,
Yep.
and where else was the other one? Paducah or
Portsmouth, Virginia, or Pennsboro.
Pennsboro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's so good. Pennsboro. We were driving that every weekend, and then they drive up with the motorhome with the car in the back of it. Me in my driver's suit and hair all over the head, and I go into school in the bathroom and have to change clothes and go to school. I mean, because we literally didn't have time to go home. I can't believe I even graduated high school, and we said, well, we'll just go down there. I ended up. Does anybody know what a Dale Carnegie class is?
Yes.
I was actually free class. I drove to Charlotte every day for like 3 or 4 months to learn how to speak in public. You can see how well that went. Because I'm not a lady etiquette,
Oh, you're doing great.
I'm like, where's the beer? Where's the gas pedal? Let's get out of here. I didn't want to do the interviews. But it was so needed to finance the. I just wanted to have fun. And the drive behind it, like I said, I think I lost my nerve after I had my children. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I don't regret any of that. But you hear me say how dangerous it was. Mm-hmm. And think of how dangerous it was for the guys that wore the leather helmets and stuff back in the...
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Back in the day when...
Back in the Wendell Scott days and all that.
Or like the days for IndyCar racing when the thought was, we don't want to be attached to the car. We want to get thrown from the car. Like, what? Like other days, like, no, don't. Let's just throw us away gently from the accident. Not, yeah, so it's definitely...
Tam says, thanks for the shout out to my dad. And Jim Oliver, God bless you, Chrissy. So we got people chiming in from all over.
Oh, Jim Oliver, now he's an actual family member.
Okay, great.
And he's watched me from like afar, but never even said nothing. He's so, what do you call that, humble?
Yeah.
But anytime, it's like he's the kind of person that would help me before I even had to ask. I'm not looking at my phone to see who's watching. I'm trying to just give the best possible scenario. I wish I had another shot. Maybe I will. I don't want to say it's all bad because I wouldn't trade it for nothing, but I wouldn't encourage anybody to put a young lady in a car. And of course, everybody says, just say no to drugs. It's not that easy. It's also, but I mean...
So how did you get, if you don't mind, and again, staying with your comfort level, this isn't about me. We're just glad you're back, and we talk about people like Gary Webb and Jim Gerber and Ronnie Whedon and Dick Plug and sorry, I know we get a lot of our watchers. You didn't mention me, and so I'll hear about it. But all that. But Chrissy Oliver comes up in that conversation of the drivers from around here.
I think it was because it was such an odd. Like even now, I mean, I'm sure everyone can see I weigh almost 300 pounds. And I'm dealing with it. It's not something I want to do, but it hurts to exercise. I was always big anyway, but it's hard to change that. What was he talking about? Because I lost my thought.
Yeah, no, that was it. You always come up in those conversations of the drivers from the past, of the good days of racing around here, and the name Chrissy Oliver comes up in that. So, I mean, how does that make you feel? And all good.
was like jaw dropping what you were explaining tonight about Gary Webb just gone. I mean, it doesn't happen every day, but it's something to talk about when it does happen. I mean, it was just like his car was hooked up. He's had a good night's rest. Yeah, that's phenomenal. I mean, it just, most of the time though, I was right in the scuffle, but it's more like bullying is the only way I could, they run into my car just to rattle me. And they think I would, no, I'd be out over and I'll turn you. You know, and I was just so feisty.
So, in other words, nothing has changed.
Nothing is from again. If you watch the replay of last night's race at East Moline, you can see that nothing has changed.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
So maybe that was Chrissy's life story at East Moline last night. Oh my God!
There's a picture here at the Fall Classic. It was $1,000 to win, and I couldn't believe it. You know, you was mentioning Gary had how many wins?
520.
I had like 400 and something. It's in that little white one. Did you see it? It's got the one Kenny Delaport with the little. It was the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, when the mini stock.
Did it say how many? But I mean, we're talking by the age of 20. It's like 27 when I quit racing. So by the age of 21, I had already had like 300 or 400 wins. And that's like, I mean, it's like I dominated that Newport Raceway track, but we get the right gears in. And like I said, the crew chief was everything. The crew members, I can remember Ronnie and Paul. I go out partying and staying out all night and just show up at the racetrack, drive the car while they would sit there, you know, away from their families, working on the car for 16, 20 hours. But they knew me so well, and they knew the car so well. And it was just kind of like this esoteric language that only select people, it's like you didn't even have to say nothing. You knew what the crew chief, like even the spotter, like on the radio when they started having the radios, it was like, you could just feel it, like along with the dirt clods and everything. It was just a flow that and this is the best probably thing I could ever tell anyone. Where is the camera so I could look at it? Right there?
Right there. Yep.
The only way I can describe racing a car for 16 years of my life, I remember when East Moline run 2 days a week and Bluegrass run on Saturday. So we'd spend Friday, Saturday, and Sunday racing at the local tracks. And I do imaginary baseball bat and run around it about 50 times and then try to walk. So when I raced for 16 years and then I tried to walk, I was just like totally out of control. And if I've hurt anyone, I really did not mean to. And I do appreciate anything anyone's done for me. And I can't believe nobody said nothing bad on here yet.
No.
Yet?
No, and they won't. And
she said they won't. But that's the only thing I can compare to. It's like a baby in a swing. It gets used to this. And then I'm racing, and then all of a sudden it's like stop, and it's like, well, what do I do with my life now? I mean, nobody in the South wanted a welder. I mean, unless you were in the race car thing. I mean, and up here I try to work McDonald's and stuff. I get fired. I can't even work McDonald's. Like I'm overqualified or something. Like I don't know. I don't spend my time on my phone. I sweep the floor and stuff. I don't mind. My dad had me sweep a dirt floor for a few years. That was ridiculous. But it taught me something. And his thing was the man with the gold makes the rules.
And he was the one with the gold.
But that's wrong. Treat others how you want to be treated.
Well, that's the golden rule that we've grown up with. Right.
But do you see how a 12-year-old could take that out of context?
No doubt about it. Sure. I can see how a 50, 60, 70-year-old can take that out of context.
So that's all I wanted to share, love and light. And like I said, this was something I did for attention. And I'll do this again. I'm too big to get in a race car. But it's really good to remember all these people.
But these are great pictures, and I'm glad you shared them with us, and just took the time to share with us. We can't wait to do some more. And I got to ask you about the Earnhardt picture. I saw it on your Facebook page, and you talked about it. And
can I get it?
And yeah, if you got it, go for it.
Oh my God.
And we got on a little late, so we'll keep going a couple minutes, and
you're
then no.
No, that was our own fault.
Yeah, that was our own fault.
No, I
Couldn't find. I was looking for one.
These are like
one wire.
color slides from a photo shoot at the Air Force Base. You've probably seen that purple car.
Yep.
Redder.
Yep.
It was look, this is like my favoriteest and most prized. You said Dale Earnhardt, and here it is. My bull ring collection and my driver's license. But see, who else has their own personal trading cards?
There you go.
And look here. Look.
Oh, there's a Ronnie Whedon card. Wow. Very nice.
He must have been my friend sometime. But this is like amazing here. It's signed on the back.
Oh, it sure is. Just show this real quick.
Oh, yeah.
It's also on her Facebook page. But yeah, that's Chrissy with Dale Earnhardt.
But we look like so casual there, like.
And the Dale Earnhardt scribble on the back. Got me one of those somewhere too. But
Do
that's
you
awesome.
really?
Yeah.
But that's how old it is. Who has these kind of pictures anymore?
Polaroid.
Yeah.
They.
Well, it's awesome, and I didn't know you'd been back as long as you had. So that glad you're
I
back.
stayed hidden.
Glad you're back in the Quad Cities, and know you've gone through all sorts of other stuff, but just to go through the memories and find out how you got to this point is just amazing, and it's been an honor talking to you about it, and can't wait to do it again sometime.
Thank you, and the 111 that just, and the smell of the fuel, and the feel of the dirt. I went home and it was like, ew.
Should have been East Moline last night. We love East Moline. They are the greatest. And nice, smooth track, but yeah, my stuff was dirty when I got home last night.
I like where I said at East Moline because my stuff was not.
Yeah, your stuff's not. But,
Yeah, I was talking. We had
right.
Joe Hayes stopped up there and he was asking about how the track was. I said that's pretty good. It's a little bit of dust, and I go, as you can see, because he's up by me, I go, where Rob is sitting, he was just like, which is always, no matter what the track is always dirty out there. And I'm like, and then there's me up here. I'm like, I prefer up here because I'm not coughing it up later. But yeah,
Coughing it up.
But there's something about that. I don't care where you sit at a racetrack. When you're out in dirt track world, there's something about you get home and you got it's always on my hat. I don't have my Done Right hat on today, but you guys have all seen the progression of that fading with sun fade and dirt. And someone's like, "You gonna do it?" I'm like, "No, this is my 2020 hat. At the end of 2020, I'll get another hat for the next summer, and that's how it works." But there's something about the smell, and as much as we love doing the live stream, we love all the viewers. There's something about being at a track. I always tell people, I'm like, we try and bring the best show, but we can't bring that. The smell, the feel, the sound of the crowd, just there's such a 3D experience of being there that it's like nothing else in the world.
That's our next bit of technology. We're going to try to bring all that to
We tried to bring remember the race can? We had the race fuel candles that I linked it before when fans couldn't be there, but we couldn't get the dirt figured out.
Yeah.
Gary Jackson gave me I didn't even have enough money to go to the track. It was like $12 to get in. And I put all my money in my car. He says, "Go to the races and have fun." Thank you, guys.
Well, we're glad you did. We can't wait to see you at the racetrack again.
I'm going back.
Yes, absolutely. And you know where to hang out now too. It's at Davenport. So real quick calendar. Team Done Right this week. The Roberts Motorsports cars. Right now it looks like maybe heading to Peoria Friday and Saturday. Mars Racing both nights, unless they decide to go up to Wisconsin on Friday and run that make up 5,000 to win race. So we'll see. Tyler Soppe, I'm guessing Davenport, Maquoketa, and Dubuque. So good luck to wherever Tyler Soppe ends up this week. Production-wise, it's going to be a busy one. We start out 300 Raceway in Farley on Wednesday. Then we'll be at Davenport and Donaldson on Friday. And we had great racing all year long there. Back to Burlington Season Championship night on Saturday. East Moline and Dubuque on Sunday in its season championship at Dubuque, and East Moline, the bull ring, the Sport Mod Stampede, $2,000 to win.
That's gonna be
on Sunday.
It's gonna be a madhouse there on Sunday. So
That's gonna be some of the best races all year that we've seen over there.
Yeah, it's
Sport
been
Mods.
really good. So we're excited for that. And it's gonna be, this is our last weekend for regular season in Davenport. I mean, obviously the track season's wrapped up, but this will be our last Friday night show in Davenport as well. I never think about that stuff because I just, it's usually whenever it's like, here's where I'm going this weekend. And they were talking about the end of the race. When I said to the crew, I'm like, wait, next week's our last week? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh. Okay.
Redirect.
Yeah, I was like, and then I've seen our schedule that you guys can't see yet. I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense why. We have things doing. We have things going in the background.
Absolutely. And Jenny Smith, Jenny Peterson, Chrissy, you're welcome at the bull ring anytime.
Yes.
She just put it in, and they are the best.
The bull ring?
That's East Moline.
Okay.
Yeah, it's now called the bull ring.
We've embraced the bull ring mentality. Painted it on the back stretch.
Yep.
On everybody's shirts. It works out so well.
Hey, some people call it the knuckle bowl, and it's been the bull ring for several years. But now
racing cards here.
awesome, yeah, bull ring racing cards. That's great. And we got a couple of surprises, and I don't know if I can let the cat out of the bag,
I don't
but
think we can yet. But just
we
stay
can't?
tuned.
Okay.
I'm gonna say stay tuned just so you follow all of our posts.
All right.
But I think there's some. We're working on stuff, and there's reasons why we're going to places this week that we haven't been yet this year. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
That's
We'll
all
leave
I'm
it at
saying.
that.
If you can think about it.
we'll leave it at that. And Frank Patterson, thanks. We had a good time also. And that wraps it up. So for Checker Flag Out on the Go Fast podcast. And again, so proud to have Chrissy Oliver here, and it was an honor. And sir, any parting thoughts?
No, just honestly, a fun week. It feels like, we just stopped racing last night. We got 2 days till we start racing again this week. So we're hitting it hard again. Racing season's not over yet. We are kind of in the last couple laps for the season. But I don't know. There's some of the best racing we've seen this month, it seems like, all year. So make sure to stay tuned. And if you can get to a track, because there's not, as soon as it's going to be November, you're going to go, I wish I'd go to a racetrack.
Yeah, and we're booked actually till October 31st.
Yes, October 31st. Which I'm looking at, like,
Shiverfest, here we come.
Yeah, so we can say that one. So we're excited. So definitely some stuff coming up. I would stay tuned on that, but have a great week and stay cool out there. It's getting hot again.
It is getting hot, but stay cool. Thanks for coming around the track and visiting with Chrissy and Bibster and myself. So for Chrissy Oliver, for Kyle Jackson, I'm Rob Hinckley. Checker Flags Out.